Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me. My name is Anna Veris, and my business name is Stargirl Crafts. This is going to be my first vlog. I have wanted to post videos and make tutorials and such on YouTube since I was a little girl, and I've been interviewed once this year, and I was like, I can just interview myself. Why don't I just introduce myself to the world throughout a video? So that's what this is. So I'm here in my painting studio. I'm gonna do a little introduction of who I am and where I'm at in my life, and yeah. Feel free to watch this video if you are also an artist or a crafter or somebody who's trying to, do events and have a small business. Or if you're just, making something at home and you want to listen to somebody ramble in the background about art, this video is perfect for you. Alright, so where should I start? I will go ahead and introduce myself first. So, I already said my name and my business name, Anna Veris, Stargirl Crafts, and I like to do a little bit of everything. I consider myself to be a mixed media artist. So I love all things fine art and crafting and everything in between. Polymer clay is kind of where I started out at in terms of selling my work, as well as cap magnets, so beer cap magnets. Those were the two things that I started selling. Actually, I think one of the other first things I started selling when I was around 12, I would go to the Boys and Girls Club, and I was also in grade school at that time, and I would sell my artwork to other kids. And it was really cool because I was just kind of making stuff for myself, and then I had people encourage me to sell it, or people that wanted to buy my work at that young of an age, and so I was like, all right, let's do it. I started making stuff to sell. So that's kind of where my entrepreneurial journey began, was as young as 12. I started doing my first markets around that age as well. My parents were very supportive of my creative journey and my interests, and they signed me up for some of my first art and craft markets at churches. I believe I did maybe 2 at churches were my very first markets. And then I started doing events with the Three Little Birds Market. So they are mainly in Porter County, if hopefully I'm correct there, but I've done quite a few events with them over the years, and yeah, so that's kind of where I started off as far as selling work and being an entrepreneur. And yeah, at that point, I don't think that I necessarily considered myself an artist or a professional artist. I just kind of loved being creative, and that was my main interest. So some of the first things I was doing in the very beginning, other than drawing and coloring as a kid, it was polymer clay, recycled art. So I mentioned the cap magnets, and felt, so little felt animals. I would trace images out on felt fabric and cut it out, and I would hand sew it. So I taught myself how to sew by hand, just with the needle and thread, not with a machine, when I was around 11 or 12, and that's when I started just hand sewing these cute little creatures, and I would cut up socks. So it was so funny. When my mom would take me garage sale shopping, I would look for the toe socks, the socks that had little toes in them, and I would look for those specifically because I would cut the toes off, and then I would cut little armholes in the toes, and then it would fit right onto my little felt guys. I think I called them felt friends back in the day. I sold them as felt friends, and they almost looked like little trees of broccoli with legs and arms. And I would sew little buttons on for the eyes. I know I have have one somewhere. I wish I would have thought of that for this video, but I'll have to share that, because that is one of the first things I started making and selling, and it's just cute, crafty. You can kind of tell that a kid made it, but it almost looks like a voodoo doll in a way, because it's got the buttons for eyes, and it's small and kind of humanoid in a way. So that's kind of where I started, and I wanted to talk about recycled art too. So before I started selling anything, I was doing a lot of recycled art. So cardboard, paper towel rolls, and toilet paper rolls, and cereal boxes, and shoe boxes. If I could get my hands on those things, I would. I always kept an eye on the recycling bin at my mom's house to make sure that I would get any paper towel rolls or toilet paper rolls that were being tossed. Like, I need those for my crafting. So basically cardboard and hot glue. I made so many different things with just cardboard and hot glue, and some construction paper, of course. So some of my first creations that I can think of that were like a little bit more complex. Looking back, like, oh wow, I was only like 10, 11 years old when I made these things. I'm like, that was pretty complex. I was taking shoe boxes, so let's say I had 2 shoe boxes about the same size, and I would make them into bunk beds. So I would I would either have a long paper towel roll and cut that into pieces, or I'd have multiple toilet paper rolls, which are a little bit smaller, and just the cardboard, and I would glue them onto the corners of the bottom part of the shoebox. Like, I would have the shoebox sitting upright like this, like a little bunk bed, and then I would glue the tubes onto the corners, and then I would glue the other shoebox bottom onto the top. So it would be a little layered bunk bed. And I even went as far as to like make it more functional. I wasn't really much into like dolls or Barbie dolls or American Girl doll. I never even had American Girl doll. But I was more so into stuffed animals. I loved animals. I loved learning about all the different sea creatures. So like, I was born in 2000, late 2000. And I have an older half sibling who was born in 97. So I was kind of raised as a 90s baby. You know, I had the VHS tapes, and I had the orange Rugrats tape, and I grew up with VeggieTales and all that fun stuff. You know, the original Blue's Clues. Don't get me started. So I am a 2000s baby, but I do very much identify with a lot of the 90s stuff too. So what I was getting at is I love stuffed animals, and even Beanie Babies. I would get those from garage sales. And I would make the bunk beds for them. And so I wanted it to be a little more functional than just cardboard and hot glue. So I would sometimes like decorate the outside with construction paper, and I would make little blankets. I'm trying to remember what I used for blankets. I think I might have just used like some old rags for blankets. I'm not entirely sure. I can't remember what I used for blankets. But for pillows, I would stuff old socks. So whether it was like the socks that I had already cut the toes off of or whatever, and I would just tie up the end, and it'd be like a little pillow for the stuffed animal. And one of the other big things that I made that, looking back, I'm like, that was impressive for my age, was a closet. So I believe I found like some type of written tutorial on the internet back then, of, you know, somebody had made this closet for the Webkins, and they shared the materials and stuff and some of the instructions, and I was like 11, 12-year-old me being like, okay, I can try to make this. I remember asking my mom to take me to the post office because I was like, I need a box of this size. So she took me to the post office, and they just gave us a little box for free, I think. And so I was like, all right, yes, I got the box. I can make the closet. And because I wanted the closet to have the 2 doors that open up. So I designed the closet. I even had like a dowel rod that I put in there, and I made little hangers out of pipe cleaners. Because I was making like clothes for my stuffed animals out of socks and stuff. So I wanted to like have a little closet for the clothes. And I also added a little mirror. So I used aluminum foil. I just cut like a rectangle of aluminum foil, and I glued that on the inside of one of the doors. So I'm like, man, I wish I had some pictures of that or something, because I have it in my brain, and I'm like, that was so impressive for the age that I was when I made that. And I'm pretty sure I was making these things between the age of 10 and 12. By the time I was 12, late 12, 13, I wasn't really playing with stuffed animals or anything like that. But I know that I started selling my work at age 12. And so it was probably a little bit before that. It was probably like 10 and 11 is when I was doing all this fun stuff with cardboard. So yeah, that's a little bit about like how I got into crafting and all of the fun things I would make as a kid. I tried to fill in like my free time just using my hands and being creative. Um, Painting, so my painting journey. I actually didn't start painting until high school, and that's just because it wasn't something that I liked at that time when I was young. I felt like paint was more of an uncontrollable medium. And by the time I tried it in high school, and I was like, wow, I'm actually good at this. I'm good at painting. I'm good at blending. And I practiced at it a little bit more with acrylic paints. And that's kind of how I, was like, okay, I could be a painter. I can add this medium into all of the list of things that I love to do. So I did focus on painting for my senior year. My senior thesis, I did a collection of 4 paintings, a series of 4 paintings. And I did 2 in acrylic and 2 in oil. So I did focus a lot on oil paint, and I learned about how to work with oil paint. And it's so exciting to learn about different mediums and how they work and the differences between them. And like the pros and cons of both. Because then you get to learn like, what should I use for this? I want to do this painting, I want to do this image, what medium should I use? Should I do acrylic paint or oil paint? And it really depends on how much blending you're going to be doing, or at least for me. If you're doing a lot of blending, I recommend oil paint. But yeah, so for intro, I'm trying to think what else I can say to introduce myself. I'm located in Indiana. I'm located in Northwest Indiana. I have gone to a couple of different schools, so little personal background, right? So my parents, have been separated since I was very little. I was like 2 or 3 when they separated, so I've always had 2 homes. And my dad has always been in Porter County, and my mom, for the most part, has been in LaPorte County. And so I'm very torn between the 2 counties. I feel like I'm very much a region rat. I like to sometimes introduce myself as a region rat Hoosier that just cannot choose between 2 counties. But currently I am living in Westville in LaPorte County, and my fiance and I just bought our first home. We've been here for a little over 3 months, so probably around 100 days, right? And I have a craft room and a painting studio, and I'm in the painting studio right now filming this, and it's November 1st. I am currently 23. I will be turning 24 later this month on the 21st. So yes, I have already had my golden birthday. My golden birthday was my 21st birthday. So yeah, that's kind of like where I'm at in my life. I guess a little bit more about where I'm at in my life, right? So I kind of only talked about my past and like where I'm living, where I'm located, right? So right now, where I'm at in my life, I am doing lots of markets, art markets and craft markets, and I am exploring punch needle lately. I did punch needle last year for a short amount of time. I taught a couple of classes at Michael's on punch needle, so I had to learn how to do punch needle to teach the classes. But I just recently, started doing more punch needle, and so I do have some work that I can show you. So here is a coaster. I've got 3 punch needle coasters here, and I've got some quilted coasters and punch needle keychains that I grabbed to show, because I wanted this to be a vlog, so I want this to be a little bit more relevant of like what I'm doing at this moment in time of posting. So it's November 1st. For the last month at least, the last 30 days, I've been doing a lot of punch needle, and I just recently, within the last week and a half, made some more quilted stuff. So punch needle, if you're not sure what punch needle is, it is a type of needle craft or yarn craft. It's similar to embroidery, and I am just using like my regular yarn. I have a lot of medium weight number 4 worsted weight yarn, so that's what I use for my punch needle projects. And I got my punch needle from Michael's, so I just got like a regular large wooden punch needle, and it's got like a metal tip. So this is one of my recent ones. This is my second mushroom coaster that I've done. The first one I sold, so I figured I'd make another one, right? So I got a little Amanita mushroom. And then this one here, I love this one so much. I kind of want to keep it, but I'm going to try to sell it first. And I want to make a couple of variations of it. So it's a little planet. It's kind of similar to Saturn. It's got a little ring around it. And I just love it so much. I really love this one. I shared it on a couple of different like Facebook groups on social media, being like, hey, do you guys think I should make more colors of this? And I got some nice comments and stuff. And I'm like, okay, you know, I'm not crazy. It looks cool. I should make more. Oh, and if you're curious about what I use for the backing of these, I just used felt. I glued these onto felt and then I cut around it. And then this is the other punch needle coaster I have. It's an eyeball and it's almost a rainbow. Not quite. I didn't get all the colors in there, but yes, it's an eyeball with colors kind of radiating out from it. So I might make more variations of that one. I'm not sure, but I definitely want to make more variations of the planet. Now, I have some quilted coasters here. I found this fabric. My mom and I went to Shipshewana when my great uncle Bob was visiting lately. We went up to, he was visiting from Texas, so he traveled up from Texas to Indiana to see the beautiful fall colors that we have. And while we were out, we visited Shipshewana, and I found this fabric, and it's little Amanita mushrooms with cardinals. And if you've ever learned about Amanita mushrooms, there's actually like a history about like Christmas, like the colors for Christmas, red and white, supposedly come from Amanita mushrooms. There's a video by After School on YouTube about it, if you want to watch it. It's super cool to learn about it. So I saw this fabric and I was like, I love it so much. So I got some of it and I made some coasters. So there's one coaster. Here's another one, little peppermint stripes. Now this one's got mistletoe and black stripes. This one, it's got like little stars on the back, a little more simple. And then these two, I actually did applique. So my mom taught me how to do applique. If you know anything about quilting, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's okay. Because you kind of have to know quilting to really know. Like, I just learned about applique. Applique is like a different way to attach fabric to fabric. It's like it's almost like adding a sticker, like an adhesive, to the fabric to make it stick. So I used applique on this. I cut out the sweater, and we put the applique on the back of the sweater and then appliqued it, ironed it onto this backing here. And then I went around with some stitching. So I did a blanket stitch on my mom's newer machine. But most of this was done, like the straight stitching, most of that was done on what my mom calls black beauties. And I believe most of the black beauties she has are like 1930s machines. So 1930s Singer machines. So I'm learning how to do sewing on machines on antique machines. So here's one little sweater coaster, and I only made two. I made two sweater coasters. So I believe, yeah, I made the sweaters with that super cute fabric, and then that's the background for this one, and that's the background for that one. So yeah, they turned out super cute. I'm going to be selling those at my November and December markets. And then I've got this ornament that my mom helped me make. This was also like pretty much just applique. We appliqued two sweaters to each other back to back, and then I just sewed around it. I sewed some stitching around it, around the outline here. And then of course we added the little tassel. So this is going to go on my Christmas tree this year. The other items I have here that I have these are my most recent projects. So I am basically like a stay-at-home housewife. I stay at home and I take care of the house and I make stuff. I'm very blessed and grateful that my fiance lets me live my dream. So when I graduated from college, I was like, I just want to do my thing full time. I really just wanted to sell my art throughout college, and when I was in college, COVID hit, and there was no markets, and I was all busy with assignments and exams and homework, and yeah, it was a wild time. So I didn't really like put myself out there and sell a lot of work while I was in college. So this year of 2024 has been my first full year of doing markets, pretty much from April all the way through to the end of the year. One market each month at least. And yeah, so it's been super exciting. So some of the other work that I have here that I'm going to be selling at my upcoming November and December markets are these punch needle keychains. So it's like, I'm making all these punch needle coasters. I wanted to make something else, so I started making keychains. So I've got some letters, some like monogram letters. So this one is a letter S. I do still have to add the metal keychain piece on here. I have some like book rings that I'm gonna use to put on there. So this one is the letter S, and I just did like white background with red, and these are also backed with felt, and I put ribbon that is glued in between the layers. This one is a letter E, and I did kind of like luckily I had a matching color, matching blue. This one is the letter A. This is a white and light pink. And luckily the ribbon I had already matched pretty well. I already had a lot of ribbon on hand for this and all the yarn I already had. I did have to buy some more felt for the backing. And this is a letter C. So this one I did mean to be the letter C. Sometimes when I look at it, I feel like it almost looks like a G, but I don't know. I hope it sells. If anybody asks, I'll be like, it could be either, but it's meant to be a C. So those are the 4 letters that I've made so far. Then I've got just 2 images. I've got 4 more like image keychains that are work in progress, but these are the ones I have done. This is a little white daisy with a blue background. Again, I just had like matching ribbon on hand, and I added the white felt. Oh, I got a little fuzzy there. And then this one I also did a flower. So for both the flower and like the 2 flower ones I'm showing and the letter ones, I used a stencil. So basically, like as far as like using a stencil, all I did was trace the image backwards onto my embroidery hoop. So here's like one of my current projects. I did a frog. This is the back side that like you punch on. So like when I'm working, this is the side I'm looking at. And then the other side, which is the side that is facing away from me as I'm working, is actually the side that I prefer. I like the loop side. So I'm doing a little froggy. I'm almost done with him. I wanted to add a little loop of white in each of his eyes. So this is the embroidery hoop, and this is actually my grandmother's embroidery hoop that my mom gave me, and it tightens really well with the screwdriver, so you can put in a mini screwdriver. My mom gave me a mini screwdriver to like tighten this extra tight around the fabric so it doesn't slip. I had a different hoop that I was using previously that I got from Michael's, and like a bamboo hoop, but I had a different type of tip, like one that you can't use a screwdriver for, and it was constantly like getting loose and I had to retighten it over and over. So I watched a video on YouTube and it was like, hey, you can still use a bamboo hoop, you just need one that can use a screwdriver piece. Luckily my mom had one, so that's what I've been using instead of a punch needle board. A lot of people are using punch needle boards. I haven't bought one yet because I really just don't want to dish out $40 for one right now. And I've been able to do my work just fine on this. I feel like it would probably be a little more comfortable punching with a punch needle board, but I'm making it work, right? So that's one of my little works in progress here and what I'm using to make it. And yeah, I think that's decent for a vlog. Hopefully my phone didn't die, or hopefully the video wasn't too long and it was like, hey, you don't have enough space in your phone for this. Because then I'd just be like talking to myself this entire time and that would make me feel weird. But I'm also home alone. And thankfully my cat has not been meowing at the door, but she probably thinks I'm crazy. So thank you for joining. If you have watched this far, this is my first vlog of just me being an artist living in Northwest Indiana. If you are familiar with the Northwest Indiana area, I am close to like Michigan City, LaPorte, and Valpo. I have spent a lot of time in Valpo. I very much kind of still identify as a Valpo resident in a way. Like I said, I'm torn between two counties. I love Westville, LaPorte County, and I love Valparaiso and Porter County, and I can't choose one over the other because I feel like I've been in both of them equally, and I feel like I've grown a lot of roots in Valpo, especially since I went to Valparaiso University, and I've been to a couple schools in Valpo. And I spent a lot of summers downtown too. Even when I was going to school in Westville, I wanted to spend my summers at the Boys and Girls Club so I could spend time downtown Valpo with my friends. So I'm currently trying to grow my roots in the LaPorte County area now that I've moved back to Westville and we bought our first home here. It's like, okay, I'm closer to Michigan City. I know there's other local artists out there, so I need to, get started, grow my roots here, get people to know me a little bit better around here. And yeah, the other thing that I've been doing lately is I started a local art club in July or August? I believe July, but I think I finally had people show up in August. But I started a local art club to bring people together from the Northwest Indiana region, whether you're from LaPorte County or Porter County. Heck, if you're even from Lake County, come join us if you're willing to drive that far. But basically, I'm getting together meets once every month for local artists and crafters to get together and meet each other and make friends and discuss other local art opportunities going around. So local art opportunities would be what are some art and craft markets going around that are still taking applications, or where can I get my work put on display, or where do you think that I can try to sell my work at? So the different boutiques around town and the different art organizations, like the Valparaiso Creative Council or the Artist Guild of Valpo. Those are places that I like to talk about and let people know about, so that we can help each other grow and come together as a community of artists and share ideas, get feedback, make friends, and talk about anything and everything art related. So this is also for crafters. So if you personally feel like you don't identify as an artist and you just like to do crafting, that is your main hobby, that's fine. Come join us. You might not consider yourself an artist, but I probably do. And on that subject, I feel like, me personally, I have seen a lot of artwork. I went to college for art. I had my artwork even in the gallery in the museum. And I have looked at so much artwork because it is my passion. And I find it really hard to see bad art. My niece drew me a wonderful photo of me and her and with crayons. And she was 6 or 7 when she drew this for me. I want to say 7. And I was like, that is so good. I love it. She was able to depict me and her, and I was able to tell it was me, and I feel like there is no bad art. I really do. There is trial and error, for sure, but in the art world, I feel like there is no bad art because art is very subjective. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Thank you for joining if you've watched this far, and I hope I didn't ramble too much. I have no idea how long this video is. I have my phone faced the other way so that it can videotape me on my little phone stand, so yeah. I might do a studio tour or something because I have a craft room and a painting studio. I'm trying to get them fully put together still. And maybe I'll do another vlog. Hopefully. I don't know if I'm going to post this just on TikTok, if I can even fit this long of a video on there, or if I'm going to post it on YouTube. I also don't like doing editing. I hate doing video editing. As a small business owner, I wear way too many hats. I don't like spending as much time on social media as I do because I don't do paid advertisements. I have to advertise myself on groups and stuff like that, so it's so draining. But yeah, I will end the video here before I continue to ramble for another 15 minutes. But thank you for watching, and follow me if you are interested in supporting a Indiana artist, or if you're just wanting to follow my journey and see where I go. I've been selling my work for over a decade now, and this is my first full year, like being able to jump into it without other priorities, as far as like schooling and education or having a job. Being an artist is like my full-time profession now, and I'm really excited to see what the next year has to hold for me. Woo! And I'm about to turn 24. So let's see what 24 has to bring, right? All right, thanks. Bye.